You grab your keys, you put on your shoes, you walk out the door, and you do not say a word. But he noticed. He noticed everything. And what happens inside his mind after that door closes will change the way you leave forever. Look at this face, that golden cream fur, that tiny orange collar, those watching, waiting eyes. Every single morning, he watches you get ready. He knows the signs before you do. The alarm, the shower, the shoes. By the time you pick up your keys, he has already known for 20 minutes that you are leaving. And in those 20 minutes, something begins to happen inside him. Something most owners never think about because they are already thinking about their day, their commute, their meetings, their plans. But he has only one thought, you. And what you do in the next 60 seconds either tells him he is safe or leaves a question hanging in the air that his nervous system will spend hours trying to answer. Today we are going to explore exactly what happens inside your dog's mind when you leave without saying goodbye. The science, the emotions, the body chemistry, and by the end, you will never walk out that door the same way again. Let us start with something that might surprise you. Your dog does not just notice when you leave. He predicts it. Research from the University of Lincoln found that dogs have an internal clock that tracks their owner's daily patterns with remarkable accuracy. He has memorized your routine down to the smallest detail, the specific shoes that mean work versus the shoes that mean a walk, the bag you carry when you will be gone a long time versus a short time. Even your cortisol levels, which rise slightly when you are preparing to leave, are detectable through his nose. His heart rate has already begun to change. His breathing has shifted. His nervous system is activating. And what you do in those final moments before the door closes is the single most important thing you can do for his emotional well-being that day. Now here is what the research actually shows about what happens when you leave without any acknowledgement, without a word, without eye contact, without a touch. You simply disappear. From your perspective, it is a practical thing. Some trainers even recommend ignoring your dog on departure to prevent separation anxiety. But here is what that actually triggers in his brain. When a pack member disappears without warning or signal, the ancient part of your dog's brain interprets that as an abnormal separation, not a planned departure, a sudden absence. Research published in the journal Animal Cognition found that dogs show measurably higher stress responses to sudden departures without owner acknowledgement than to departures where the owner gave even a brief signal. His brain is not saying, okay, he is going to work. His brain is saying, where did my pack member go? And that question activates the stress response. Cortisol rises, breathing accelerates. Some dogs pace, some dogs whine. Some dogs simply sit at the door, not performing, processing, trying to make sense of a disappearance that did not follow any signal they could understand. This is the part most owners never see, because they are gone. But research using cameras installed in homes of dog owners has revealed what happens in those waiting hours, and it is heartbreaking and beautiful in equal measure. In the first 30 minutes after an unacknowledged departure, many dogs show what researchers call protest behaviors, pacing near the door, sniffing where the owner stood, occasionally vocalizing. After about 30 minutes, most dogs settle into a waiting state. They find a spot, often near the door or near something that smells like their owner, and they simply wait, not sleeping deeply, not playing, just waiting. Their stress hormones remain elevated throughout the waiting period. Their heart rate stays slightly higher than resting. Their body is in a sustained low-level alert state because some part of them is still processing the question that was left unanswered when you walked out that door. Are you coming back? And here is the most important thing about that question. They do not have a reliable answer. They have hope. They have experience. They have the memory of every time you came back before, but they do not have certainty. And uncertainty costs something. It costs hours of elevated cortisol. It costs energy. It costs rest. So what does the research say actually helps? What does he actually need from you in those final moments? Not a dramatic goodbye, not a long emotional farewell, not anything that would increase his anxiety. What he needs is a signal, a consistent brief ritual that tells his nervous system, this is a planned departure, this is normal, I will return. Research from the University of Veterinary Medicine in Vienna showed that dogs whose owners gave a brief, consistent departure ritual showed significantly lower cortisol levels during the waiting period than dogs whose owners left without acknowledgement. It does not need to be long. 30 seconds. Get down to his level. Make eye contact. Say his name warmly. Say whatever words you want. I will be back. See you later. Be good. He does not understand the words, but he understands the ritual. He understands that this pattern, this specific sequence of events, always ends with you coming back, and that understanding changes everything about how his nervous system handles the hours that follow. You may have heard the advice, do not make a fuss when you leave. Ignore your dog on departure to avoid triggering separation anxiety. And there is something to that advice, but it is often misapplied. The research does not say ignore your dog. It says do not be dramatic about leaving. There is a significant difference. A dramatic, tearful goodbye with excessive affection and anxiety in your voice can actually increase your dog's stress because he reads your emotion and mirrors it. But a calm, brief, warm acknowledgement, that is not dramatic. That is informative. That is the difference between disappearing and saying, I see you. I am going. I will return. One leaves a question. The other gives an answer. Here is something equally important. What happens when you come back? When that door opens, his body undergoes a rapid hormonal shift. The cortisol that built up over hours begins to drop. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, floods his system. His heart rate normalizes. He is not just happy to see you, he is chemically recovering. And here is what most owners miss. The quality of that reunion matters, not in a dramatic way, but in an intentional one. Even 30 seconds of real eye contact, of saying his name, of genuine acknowledgement that you see him and you came back, accelerates that chemical recovery significantly. You said you would come back, and you did. Every single time you honor that unspoken promise, you build something extraordinary. A trust so deep that next time you leave, his nervous system carries the memory of every return, and the waiting becomes a little easier. Let us step back for a moment. What we have talked about today is not just about goodbyes. It is about what your presence means to this animal. He has built his entire emotional world around you. Your comings and your goings are not background events in his life. They are the events. Every departure is significant. Every return is significant. And in between those two moments, he carries you with him, not as a thought exactly, as a feeling, a constant low-level awareness of where you are in relation to him. And when you are gone, that awareness becomes a waiting, a watchfulness, a hope so consistent it has become instinct. He does not need you to be perfect. He does not need elaborate rituals. He needs to know that his disappearing person will reappear, that the world is predictable, that the pack is intact, that you noticed him on your way out. So tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off and you start getting ready and he begins to watch you with those knowing eyes, take 30 seconds before you reach for your keys. Get down to his level. Look at him. Say his name. Tell him you will be back. Not because he understands the words, but because the ritual tells him what the words cannot. I see you. I am leaving. And I am coming back. He waits for you every single day. The least you can do is say goodbye. If this changed the way you think about leaving your dog, give it a like. Share it with every dog owner you know. And tell me in the comments, do you say goodbye to your dog when you leave? I will see you in the next one.